If you have any credible accounts that terrorists are going to attack India, whether from the Indian government or from State Department, any kind of
Sure, Gail. It's a fair question. We did issue update the India travel alert. Let me just say that we do alert U.S. citizens of the continued possibility of terrorist attacks throughout India during the Indian holiday season, which includes Hindu, Islamic, and other religious and secular holidays between October and January. So the travel alert expires on January 20th, 2012. Recent Indian government advisories and local media report increased indications that there are terrorist attacks possibly in planning. This is in addition to the current standing travel alert, but we also note that this period has been a period in the past where there have been terrorist attacks, and certainly there's upcoming anniversaries of terrorist attacks in India. So it's really just an effort on our part to do due diligence and to alert folks of the heightened so that they're more aware of the possibility.
Another question, if I may have. Yesterday, Mr. Professor Akbar Jaidi was speaking at the Carnegie Institution. He is a professor at the Columbia University for International Affairs. What he gave accounts yesterday of India-Pakistan and India-US and US-Pakistan relations and economics. What he said, that time has come now for India and Pakistan to work together, and especially Pakistan's time is now to recognize that India is a power, and without India, Pakistan has no existence as far as security and trade and other issues are concerned. But he said the problem is that Pakistan is being run by the two governments, not one. One is civilian, one is military. But without military, civilian government cannot do anything. Maybe U.S. can help in this situation. So what do you have to say about his comments?
It sounds like it was a very interesting academic analysis of the situation in Pakistan. I'm not trying to be facetious, but our policy remains that, as I've said and many times before, that we need good relations between Pakistan and India. We need good constructive relations between India and Afghanistan, between Afghanistan and Pakistan, so that all three countries can prosper and increase stability and peace in the area. Certainly, an important element of that in Pakistan and elsewhere is strengthening democratic institutions and democratic governance.
And finally, if I may quick, General Musharraf is in town, and he has been here on and off almost 2-3 weeks, and now he is going to speak again at the Carnegie, but he is looking, I understand, for some kind of think tank job in Washington. One, if he has met anybody from the State Department, if he's in touch with anybody here.
I'll take the question whether he's had any meetings here at the State Department.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure, Christophe.
The French government has announced...
I've forgotten her, but go ahead and then I apologize.
It's very short.
Okay.
French government has announced this morning the death of a French woman who was hostage in Somalia. So,
death of a French woman who was held hostage.
Yeah, in Somalia.
I'm aware of those reports, and certainly we extend our condolences to the family and as well as to the French nation. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mark. Should the United States be giving foreign assistance to China when we're competing with them economically and politically? Last year, the aid amount is small. There was a $47 million in development aid, and then there's a government contract to some Chinese state enterprises for $350 million. I mean, China can afford pretty much everything. I mean, they can afford our bonds. So should we be giving them aid?
Well, again, I'd like to see a more detailed breakdown of where that assistance goes to. Our foreign assistance is carefully vetted, and it goes to support projects and programs that we believe are in our long-term national security interests, as well as assisting the government to which, or the country to which they're going to. But moving forward, foreign assistance is constantly being reviewed, certainly in these tough budgetary times. But let's be very clear that the foreign assistance that we give, both to China but elsewhere in the world, is, as I said, clearly in our national security interest, and it pays dividends for the American people. Yeah, go ahead.
On Yemen, there are reports say that President Saleh has now said that he is ready to sign the GCC proposal as long as the U.S., Europe, and the Gulf states provide guarantees for implementing the proposal. Have you seen those reports, and do you have any?
Guarantees for?
Implementing the proposal is what he said.
Right. Well, I would just say I have seen those reports, and the GCC, the EU, and the United States have repeatedly stated our unequivocal support for a political transition on the basis of the GCC agreement. I've said that many, many times from the podium. So we don't believe any further guarantees are necessary. We would just urge that President Saleh fulfill his pledge to sign the GCC agreement without further delay, arrange for presidential elections to be held before the end of the year within the agreement, within the framework of that agreement.
So you're not worried that the Secretary General of the United Nations refused to issue guarantees to Saleh and his family to be immune from prosecution, and as a result this may cause him to stay and remain as long as he can in power?
Again, the GCC agreement was agreed to after many months of negotiations by both the ruling party and the opposition parties in Yemen. So the Yemenis would decide any contents and details of any political agreement that was reached. We, the United States, support accountability and have called for independent investigations of human rights abuses in Yemen. But again, I think we're losing focus here. The real issue is on President Saleh, or the real issue is President Saleh and his continued refusal to sign the agreement. He's reneged on his promise or pledge to sign the agreement several times now. We believe that this agreement has been carefully vetted and agreed to by all the parties in Yemen, and so we should be able to move forward. He should be able to sign it.
So you don't see as a bargain for immunity for him and his family as being part of any agreement?
We don't.
You don't see that immunity from prosecution as being part of any bargain with him to depart from power?
Again, the GCC agreement, we believe, answers these questions. Yeah.
Different topic.
Sure.
I believe you were asked yesterday if Palestinian Prime Minister Salam Fayyad was going to meet any U.S. officials while he is in town.
He is, and I know we pledged to issue a taken question about it. In fact, he's here on a very short private visit. He doesn't have any meetings, so I thought that's
really?
just the questions. There's no meetings here that I'm aware of.
That's interesting. And even though the question of how the Palestinian Authority continues to finance itself remains very much an open question, and even though you have many members on the Hill who said that they would oppose continued U.S. funding.
And I don't know whether he's having any meetings on the Hill. I can't answer that aspect of it. I know he doesn't have any meetings in the department.
Okay. Mark, last
hold on. Sorry. With the administration or with the State Department? Do you know if he has an NSC meeting, for example, or something?
I don't.
So you only know about the State Department. Okay.
Last week when
But my impression just to finish, my impression that his visit was more private than
we understand
in his official
speaking
capacity.
at one of the Palestinian organizations in town. But last week when asked, Victoria said that he was going to meet with someone. She didn't know who or at what level.
You're talking about Fayyad?
Yes, with Fayyad. So who's here in town? He's speaking in town. But is that something new or
that he's not meeting with somebody? Again, he'll be in Washington at this point. No meetings are scheduled. So. Great.
One last question. There is a U.S. Israeli citizen being held in Egypt, and there are talks underway to release him in exchange for like 800 Egyptians that are being held by Israelis. Are you aware of that?
Again, I think the Secretary spoke to this yesterday when she was on the ground in Libya and said simply that we want to see him released. I'm not aware of any talks.
Foreign Minister just yesterday met with a Syrian National Council that was founded in Turkey.
Right.
Some argue that this is the right step in the recognition of the SNC. First of all, are you considering to take similar steps to meet with the Syrian National Council anytime soon?
Well, again, we have met with and will continue to meet with members of the Syrian opposition, and going forward, we're also seeing this Syrian opposition and this and part the Syrian Transitional National Transitional National Council, is that right? The Syrian National Council, I think is what it's called. Continue to coalesce and grow. We believe it's one of the major voices within the Syrian opposition. We're still seeing the Syrian opposition coalesce. We maintain contacts both within Syria and outside with Syrian activists and expatriates as we move forward. It's an important element of our strategy.
So you are saying you met with this particular council?
I don't know if we've had meetings with the council that's in Turkey now. I'll take the question.
Okay, thank you.
In reaction to Libya, the Libyan National Council recognized the Syrian National Council as the legitimate voice of the Syrian people.
Again,
do you welcome the Libyan?
Well, I think that we're beginning to see as we move forward, as the violence continues, as the Syrian people continue to stand up to Assad and his regime. An important element of this is that the opposition begin to truly come together to coalesce and represent the desires of the Syrian people. We're beginning to see that. Thanks. Sorry, when you came in, you just...